Good evening, everybody. This is your host, Huge Pop, from the Huge Pop Wrestling Podcast. And to my right, I have another talent from one of my favorite indie promotions, for PWX. He's trained in PWX. He made his first match appearance in December 31st on New Year's Eve Bash. He's a former U.S. championship of PWX. It is AMB. How's it going, my guy?
Good. I'm doing good. Thank you for having me. It's
been a minute. It's been a minute, man. I haven't had you on, and I know there's a video out there that you claim that we talk trash about you on this program, and I apologize if other superstars of the PWX division or promotion talk shit about you. I have not met you, so if they talk shit about you, I'm so sorry. I try to keep it to a positive level on this show, as Sin would be able to tell you.
Yeah, you never tried to stir shit, right?
No, never did. So, as we, by the way, we have Sin on from the Syndicate down here from PWX as well. He's just up here to help me put AMB on the hot seat. So we're about to spend another hour putting you on the hot seat. If that's okay with you.
Let's do it.
So, man, there's a lot I can talk about, but let's talk about, you're new into the business, but what in the world got you into wrestling as a kid growing up?
My oldest brother. So our father was watching professional wrestling, and then when I was born, I was just like introduced to it through my oldest brother. And it's just been a generational type thing throughout my family. My current nephews love wrestling, of course, whether it be through me or through their dad or just through toys and stuff. It's just been a constant reoccurring thing in my life. And my first memory of life, honestly, is WrestleMania 17. We had it on a DVD or a VHS or something at the time. And I'm watching the TLC match, and I loved Jeff Hardy, as a kid. Rob Van Dam, those type of guys, those smaller guys. So, like, the underdog story has always kept me intrigued with, superstars in that aspect of professional wrestling. So it's kind of just been on and off, and it's just constantly been just thrown in my face. Like, even at times where I was going through high school and just kind of growing out of stuff and just, growing up, it just came back. It just always came back, So it's not going anywhere. I figured I might as well find an avenue, whether it be wrestling, video editing, or something. I know I have a desire to do this, so I figured, why not? Let's pursue it. So
that's awesome, man. That's awesome. So I'd like to interact with the fans in the chat. So Gina says, "Hey, Scott, Sin, and AMB." So we got fans out here that's talking tonight. So what I normally do is I normally ask the questions. Sin can ask some questions, and when a fan pops in the chat, we'll use their questions as well. So
okay.
I know, just talking to you before we even went on air, that you and I share a similarity of collecting wrestling stuff. So, matter of fact, we're talking about Pro Wrestling Crate and all the T-shirts and the 8x10. So, was collecting wrestling growing up, is that something you got into a lot of, or was that just here recently?
Just more recently. Like, as a kid, I had hundreds of wrestling guys, but it was never like let me take care of these or collect them type thing. I was just playing with them and then pass them down off to my nephews. But there are a few that I ended up getting, like my freshman year, from a family member. She was out and about and found some of these wrestling guys, and I have yet to open them out of the boxes today. And I think that was like the original piece that I was like, okay, maybe I should take care of this stuff. I got some WCW official license figures, some ECW figures, people that's passed, people that are no longer here. So I figured, since they were, whether it be a brief short moment in my childhood or a long time throughout my life, it's always good to have something to kind of for nostalgic purposes. So I started with wrestling guys, and then as I got into high school, like I started collecting shirts. I was big into wrestling, and a lot of the shirts that kept coming out were a lot different and unique. So I figured, hey, why not? And then I just subscribed to Pro Wrestling Crate, and yeah, my whole wardrobe is nothing but t-shirts. So
Nice. That's nice. No,
Yeah,
I have a wall over here full of Funko Pops. There's some micro brawlers and Funko Pops behind me, and some stickers from Wrestling Crate. So yeah, I get that totally.
yeah, I just recently got into Funko Pops. Joey Grunge from PWX, he has a lot of those things, and he's just always like giving me new information on why one's like unique, or like why people are collecting this one, and so it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Funko Pops are really cool. I didn't understand them, like mystique about them and everything, but now that I'm starting to get into them, I actually got my first one, which was a Rob Van Dam one. So
Okay. Yeah. Then.
What I was going to ask was, were you into any other sports in high school, or were there other sports that you followed, or were you pretty much just totally motivated towards wrestling?
So when I was about 4 or 5 years old, I have two older brothers. My middle brother owned a skateboard, and I just picked that up. So from the time I was 4 or 5 years old till about 12, that's all I did. I wanted to be the youngest X Games gold medalist in street skateboarding. So I kind of started with that a little bit. I was always like very athletic. My mom, when I was real little, decided that she was thinking about putting me in gymnastics, and I kind of shied away from it. But now that I'm kind of reflecting, I wish I could have did something like that just to give it a shot. But football, I got into football through like late elementary, middle school days, and freshman year. I played a lot of football, about 2.5, 3 years. Had an injury, still kept playing, and then just kind of change of scenery and everything. I moved back to my hometown, so I kind of dwindled out of that. I did a lot of amateur wrestling. I did that for about 2.5, 3 years in elementary and middle school. And baseball, I was never really good at baseball. I couldn't really hit the ball that well, so they just threw me in the outfield. But I was quick, so I mean, I've always been kind of like agile, like a cat in a sense, and light on my feet, and good hand-eye coordination. So I think all of them sports that I did try and experiment with kind of taught me some things down the road. So
nice. That's awesome, man. Where did you train at? Where did you get your initial training from?
So in 2019, there's a school in Woodstock, Illinois called Premier Pro Wrestling. I went up there for about 4 months, and it was about 2 hours or so from my hometown. So I was driving and stuff, and ended up getting into a car accident on my way to train, and it kind of halted things for a little bit. And I had to just kind of go back to, regular life and stuff like that. And then PWX got the building at North Point Arena, and Jimmy Smooth called me up. And even when I was training in 2019, had not went through the school yet, he was just like, hey, you're going to be good if you stick with this, and I would like to give you an opportunity if you keep pursuing. So last year, actually, July 1st, he called me up, and I actually quit my job to come back home to pursue this full time. So
wow. So this is it, right?
There's no plan B, no plan C, nothing like that. I put all my eggs into this basket right now. Currently. So
AMB, you need to get your title back from Casey.
I'm hoping to do it this Sunday, William. I'm hoping to do it. It's not going to be easy. 2 out of 3 falls. My very first match like that. It's going to be intestinal fortitude and passion and desire. That's what's going to pull either me or him to the finish. And we'll see who has more of that this coming Sunday. So
it's awesome, man. I love it. Love it. I'm hyping that up. That'd be actually a good match. I had Casey Jackson on our episode like maybe 2 weeks ago, and he was all talking about how big of a badass he is, and wow, we got this new title, blah blah blah. And I ain't gonna tell. I don't know. I don't want to quote him because I'd get that wrong, and that. But I'm sure he's just as amped up for this title match on Sunday as you are. So I
would hope so. I'm coming at him full force. Only one other competitor of mine so far has really brought that type of energy and mentality out of me, and it was Nasty Nick Nolan, and I overcame him. So I don't see any doubters saying that I can't overcome Casey. You know, everybody says it's actually fairly even match from what they've seen in previous times. So we've actually been compared a little bit, and I don't know if that gets under his skin, but it kind of gets under mine just because, you know, I bring something different to the table, and I know I do. So
That's awesome.
We'll find out Sunday. We'll find out Sunday.
Pretty confident, I hear. I see.
Yeah.
So Stacey McCormick, he said he is going to be a wrestler from the time he could speak.
That's fact. That is fact. I was probably in 4th grade at the time, and I had told my parents that, you know, with that skateboarding stuff I was going through, but just that mentality of, you know, shooting bigger for something larger than yourself and bigger than life. I've never stopped chasing that, you know, and I always said, even when I was in 4th grade, I'm not going to live an ordinary life, and I don't see myself really doing the average 9 to 5. So
awesome. They keep on rolling, and just make sure you keep Casey in the ring. If Casey gets out of the ring, you know he's going to grab a chair, so keep him to the ring. So
yeah, he's a man. He's got some, just like Sin, got a lot of tricks up his sleeve sometimes, but I don't think I've been this confident before so far in my wrestling career, and that kind of says a lot. So I think I've come a long way since the beginning, and I don't think on Sunday he's going to be able to get that 3 count.
So awesome. So you were saying something, Sin?
I was just going to say I think it's going to be a close match because Casey is willing to do anything it takes to win. And AMB, both of you are both great athletes, and 2 out of 3 falls could be match of the night.
It's my goal every time I hit that curtain, man. Steal the show.
That's awesome. So you mentioned it. There's no plan B. So we got fans like Gina, like William, like Stacy, like, and I watched video footage of PWX Arena, and there's fans everywhere, and it's kind of loud and obnoxious in there. So what do the fans, the interactions with the fans and the merch table, etc., mean to you? I mean, yeah, I'm not going to ask your buddy down below, but what does it mean to you?
It means a lot, just because when I was late in my high school years and really starting to like go to shows just as a fan, you go through a lot of emotions and lots of things go on when you're there, especially if it's your first time. I had went to a AAW show in LaSalle in 2017, and I got to see the likes of MJF, Shane Strickland, lots of good guys, the Lucha Brothers. And it was kind of intimidating sometimes when you're very new and haven't, you know, I've watched it my whole life, but I had never been to a real show, and that was my first time. So as bad as I wanted to go up to those guys and be like, hey, may I get an autograph or a photo or, you know, buy something, I couldn't pull it out of me, you know,
Wow.
that anxiety. So whenever, you know, I still kind of deal with that sometimes, like when I'm on the opposite end of the table, for a brief second there, I'm like, man, this is surreal in the sense. Now I'm on the other side of the table. So I always just remember those experiences that I had when I first went to shows. So I take a lot of pride in fan interaction and stuff like that. And I think giving something to the fans to keep or remember is one of the best things about going to a wrestling show. So I always try to have something, whether it be a sticker, a keychain lanyard, or a button, a shirt, 8x10, something that I can give to the fans. Even if they don't have it, if I have the opportunity to give it back to them, I'm going to do that. And I take a lot of pride on that. So
it's not about getting the fans money. It's about meeting and being.
Not at all.
Okay. Yeah.
Not at all. No.
I was hoping I'd meet a wrestler that has that mentality. That's a great mentality to have.
Yeah, it's, you know, even though it's a business, you know, and you got these things that you got to keep doing to push forward. I'm an emotional guy sometimes, and I'm not afraid to admit that. But yeah, just reflecting a lot of the times, you know, I do a lot of that on show days, just reflecting on like just a lot of things, and that's something that I always try to, you know, take pride in, even if after a match I don't have the energy or whatever. or, I need to take a minute before I go out there. I just always try to mentally prepare myself and remember those things.
Yeah.
Like, hey, there's a little kid out there that, as shy as he is, he's not gonna, pull his parents up there to come say hi. So
Right.
sometimes before the shows, we have fans just kind of sitting around as we're letting people in. And I like to take pride in going out there a little bit every now and then when I get a chance to, just to interact with them. And I always look for the people that are new at the shows and always try to, get some sort of positive reaction out of that. So that I take a lot of pride in fan interaction.
That's awesome, man.
I too am a fan. I too, had been to the shows and, went through those anxieties. So it's all about giving back to the people that support you,
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. So you mentioned MJF, one of the hottest heels around. Do you have any regrets not going up there and talking to him at all?
All the time. But one of the cool things that happened from that show, it just I was standing there watching Ray Phoenix go against ACH at the time, and I just did a side eye, and there's Pentagon, recording the match, and I'm a little starstruck, I'm like, what the heck, Yeah. But I did say hi to him. He said hi back. So I mean, I got a small glimpse of that little interaction, but yeah, definitely. I didn't know MJF would take off the way he did or have the wrestling world in the palms of his hands the way he does right now. Right. So yeah, definitely looking back sometimes I'm like, man, I missed out. But one day maybe we're sharing a locker room together or something. So.
Awesome, man. So Stacey McCormick and Jennifer McCormick, are they related to you?
Yeah. So Stacey McCormick is my mother, and Jen is my aunt from my stepside.
Jennifer says AMB is pursuing his dream. I couldn't be so more proud of him. So,
thank you, Aunt Jen. I appreciate that.
And we have
so much.
AMB, I wish you in the near future that you and Casey would tag up. I think you guys would make a great tag team. Your athletic abilities are similar. And I think that you guys could probably beat the tag team title holders that currently have PWX, if I'm not mistaken.
See where he's trying to stir it.
There you go.
He's stirring it.
He's trying to
stir it up.
I'm just saying.
No, wait. I want to point something out.
Okay.
Just moments ago, did you say you didn't like being compared because you bring something different to the table? Just then, another fan compared you.
Yeah. So that's the thing that always gets brought up is, man, you guys should be a tag team. And it's I can see the dynamic. We are both very athletic and we're both very good at what we do right now for being in this as long as we are. But yeah, I think I really have something that I can use or an ability that I can, showcase that is really going to make people connect. And I like the challenge of doing that, with me and my opponent. Just an individual singles competition. So I love that. It's a good learning curve. You learn so much through that. Yeah. And, it's just something that always gets brought up, and it's okay, right. I keep it in the back of my head, but it doesn't offend me or anything, but it's just, he's very good at what he's doing, even though we're wrestling against each other and all this stuff, I'll peel the curtain a little bit. He's dedicated, man. He's not going to quit for anything. So, and I have that same mentality too. So I can see the energy that he brings whenever he steps through those ropes. And it's kind of a reflection a little bit, or can be compared to mine sometimes, just the energy we bring to the shows. So, but other than that, I definitely, I believe that me and him on Sunday, we're going to be able to steal the show. And I think that with what we have in store, it's just going to leave the fans wanting more.
That's awesome, man.
So
I got a couple things here. Johnny Cash, he's here. He's popped in. He says Casey and AMB would lose against the Syndicate. That's a personal preference.
Thank you, Johnny Cass.
Of Cass. He is the no-show of the Syndicate, so he should have you guys. He should have Sid back, but he's a no-show.
He's got my back tonight.
Johnny Cass needs to learn how to swing a chair. That's all I'm saying.
Yep.
Swing that shit, Johnny. Swing it.
He needs to learn how to swing a chair. He needs to learn how to show up.
Oh, that was a good one. Yeah. Show up, Johnny.
Joe, show up. I mean, You know, yeah. So it's not about Johnny Cash; it's about AMB.
Yeah,
And I don't
yeah,
want to get off track here.
yeah.
So I know we talked about watching wrestling growing up and
Mhm.
becoming a wrestler. So, what day was it? Do you remember the day that you're like, "Yup, this is what I'm gonna do"?
Hmm. Yeah, I do. Ironically enough, the house that we were living in during that time, when I was about to graduate high school, was like 3 houses to my left. So it's kind of cool sometimes, you know. I'm a very
Oh,
thoughtful person, so when I step out onto the porch and I just look at that house, I'm like, that's where it really began, you know. Um, Actually, funny enough, it was 2016 at Best of the Super Juniors, Will Ospreay, Ricochet, the match that everybody kind of shit on a little bit. Um, I had never seen wrestling like that before. You know, growing up, I only had the WWE, you know, home videos and stuff like that. At the time, I don't even think I had the network yet. So it was just something that I came across and it just blew my mind away. I'm like, I had never seen wrestling other than WWE, ECW, and WCW. Um, to see something like that, it was just like, they do this? And then I started going down the wheel and learning about the independent wrestling scene, and I think that's what really intrigued me. It's a, you know, I had never dove that deep into the wrestling history up until that point, and then just to find out, you know, all the videos that was coming out, everyone's kind of bashing Will Ospreay and Ricochet for that match,
right.
and I didn't understand the perspectives and stuff, so I was just like, what? To get more insight, I'm gonna have to learn more about it, and then Seth Rollins too. I'm a big Seth Rollins fan. 2016 when he came back from his knee injury and pedigreed Roman Reigns at Money in the Bank. That was something I'll never forget. I shot up off my bed at the time and was so stoked, you know. So it's
Mhm.
just like moments like that. Those two moments in particular really made me think like, yo, I gotta feel this in some way or pursue this in some way. Um, but yeah, and then all the other moments too, as I started learning about, you know, wrestling and getting the network eventually and watching all this other stuff, it's just like there was a whole nother world that I had never been introduced to,
Right.
you know? So it just, I went down the rabbit hole and I've never stopped since.
So I got a question. This is typically what happens. Do you look at wrestling totally differently now that you've learned how to wrestle? When
I
you
will say
watch a match?
yeah, I will say I watch a match a lot differently now than I did. It was a lot more easier for me to get drawn in, you know, as a fan
Mhm.
before I started wrestling. Now I just find myself watching their feet. I'm watching where they're placing everything, how they're doing stuff. I'm following them on social media or any other social platform just to see what they're doing for workouts or just to get better knowledge, you know. Even though I'm not with these people directly, we live in a time where everything's just one click away, and you know, you can get a little bit of insight out of everything. So just having a perspective um to understand that, like, you know, you can watch wrestling and still be a fan, but it definitely has altered the way I watch it sometimes, uh but not in a negative way. But I'm just very more attentive, alert
Uh,
to what they're doing. So because there's things that I might want to, you know, pursue, try, or do something, experiment. So I'm always, you know, recording stuff, or I'm rewinding it back and just watching everything. Every meticulous little detail, I'm on it, you know.
Nice. Now, is there a specific group of talent that you like to watching that you study to create the character you have, like in AMB? Is there certain people?
So I'm a big Zack Sabre Jr. fan. That's probably like the most like slept on guy. I don't really talk about him a whole lot, but that dude's so witty with his move set, and he always finds different maneuvers to either put someone in or get out of. And I like that type of stuff. The Cruiserweight Classic from 2016, man, that just like that style, like every single match on there through that whole tournament, like ultimately that's like that style. I guess a lot of people kind of call it hybrid style now or the new gen stuff, but yeah, you know, I love storytelling. Like working with Nasty Nick, like I want to be able to blend both of those in a way. The more and more I get more experience, like try to develop my own move set and do this stuff and just make it mesh really well to where I can kind of like what Kenny Omega and Will Ospreay just did. They some people might say that's not wrestling or it is, but that hard hitting stuff to where you can really just draw people in and then showcase some athleticism that's beyond the world. Like you don't see that stuff all the time. So,
Right.
but knowing where to put those things throughout a match or throughout something that you're doing, that I've learned very quickly that that's the most important thing, because you want to get someone to feel something.
Yeah.
There's hundreds of guys that can do the things that I can do right now that are on the indies or that are signed somewhere. But to make you different, you have to really understand psychology and understand, on the deeper level, why you're telling what you're going to tell when you go out there. And just to have someone, that is on page with you mentally wise, like, when I went against Nasty Nick, like, just like him, he's the same mentality as me. There's no plan B. We're all in. So he wanted to get the most out of what we did, and I did as well. With me being very new, I wanted to just do everything right, and he pulled that out of me. So that's something that I kind of like. I'm learning very quickly, in that aspect. So
Whether you're a good guy or a bad guy, I think everybody's goal is to have the match of the night and to hit that nerve
yeah,
and storytelling to make the crowd feel. So I understand what you're saying 100%.
yeah, it can be.
And I would say,
challenging sometimes, but
this. Props to Sin. As much shit as I give him about his last match, you told the story, and you were all in on that. You didn't. It was a lot of that stuff that happened in that match was to get the fans' reaction. You got the fans' reaction on what happened. So if that's what you're talking about, you did a great job doing that. I will say that. So anyway, you say you're all in, man, and so is that scary? Is that statement scary to be a Nick Nolan, be a AMB, to be a guy that says, I don't have a job, I don't know, this is what I'm going to do?
I've kind of developed real early on just throughout life. Whether you're doing good, someone's gonna say something. Whether you're doing bad, someone's gonna say something. They're always gonna have something to say. I thankfully enough, I have a good support system. Sen, he's helped me out a lot. Joey Grunge, Wildman Beast, Jimmy Smooth, Jay Silver, everybody that comes in and out of the locker room at the shows. And I think that was one of the things that kind of like brought me back down to size a little bit. Was I used to get so worried about, like, man, I'm all in, I don't think these guys can relate to me, or I don't think I can get along with people. But everybody's so welcoming, and everybody's a helping hand to one another. So that was very awesome to see that, to be all in on something like this, it takes a lot. It takes a lot, and you sacrifice a lot. You miss out on birthdays, you miss out on everything, because you're focusing on the long-term picture, the bigger picture. Like I said earlier, I've been having this mindset where, I'm not going to pursue the regular average thing. I want to be larger than life and pursue my passions. So at the end of the day, it takes a different mindset to be able to put yourself in position. And I think to some people it might be scary, but to the right people and the people that do support you, they don't bat an eye and they have zero doubts. The people that I have around me, they bring me up a lot more times than anyone else. So thank you to everybody for that. But no, it's not scary at all. Eventually all good things take time. It's just timing.
Timing, yeah. So we got Johnny Cash piping off. AMB is scared of me and Syndicate, just saying.
Oh, jeez.
I mean,
Listen, hey, I've beaten the Syndicate before with KOI. That was before Johnny Cash got involved, but Johnny didn't even want a one-on-one match with me during my United States Championship reign. So, we can make something happen if he wants to put his money where his mouth is.
That was a very different syndicate.
Yeah, it was. It was. I'll admit that. It was a very different syndicate. But, and just to give a hats off to you, man, like you're growing with that thing. You're definitely growing with that group. And bringing in Viper was a little new. Something I didn't expect. But yeah, you guys seem to be figuring yourselves out. And, the syndicate can be scary sometimes. And they are a threat. Don't get that twisted. They're a threat.
Well, he had to bring in Viper because he knew that he had a problem against Mayhem on last Thursday. So he had to do something ahead of time because of the stipulation that was made. So
I'm sorry, I'm smarter than my opponent. Do I need to apologize for that?
no, I mean, no apologies needed, bro. So there's a couple things that you hear as fans and stuff like this shit's fake.
Right.
What do you have to say to the fans that say this shit's fake?
I laugh most of the time, or sometimes if I'm feeling a little extra and I'd like to sit and go word for word a little bit, I just usually break it down into simple terms. So, well, like that saying is, you pay for a ticket to go see a movie, but Tom Cruise isn't, who he is in the movie type thing. It's just a story, an entertaining outlet and stuff like that. And then most of the time when I explain it to people that way, they're kind of like, oh yeah, I guess I didn't think of it that way. But there is a few people, I'm just like, man, you say that again, I'm gonna have to chop you or something. Cause like, like it takes a lot, man, and that's something I realized very early on when I first started training. I had watched wrestling most of my life, and then I got to the school and the dude told me to hit the ropes. I'm like, oh yeah, okay, it's rope. About broke my back. So
that first bump, the first time you fall in a ring.
Oh yeah. You'll never forget it.
No.
You'll never forget it.
Never.
You remember that for the rest of your life.
How does your family support you in your decision to be all in on as a wrestler?
So a lot of the times, they're usually just showing up to shows. They don't understand how this stuff works most of the time. I've spent a lot of time trying to explain it to them, but they didn't understand it until, I actively started wrestling, and then they get to come to the shows, and then they start to see the bigger picture. But in regards, my biggest savior is my mother. I'm a mama's boy. She helps me a lot. She has a business herself. And when I started doing this, like I had no idea how to edit anything or make merchandise, stuff like that. And that's what she does. She has a craft company that she runs. And so I had to pick her brain a little bit and just be like, what is it that you're doing over here? And like, what's the end goal? And then we started shooting ideas off of each other. And she's like, well, I think I could help you with this. And I think, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm pretty sure I can help you with that. So I just brought her on board, and we figured out how to make clothing together. We figured out how to make buttons together, keychains, pretty much all the stuff that I sell. It's just me and my mom just kind of spitballing ideas and thinking of stuff and researching stuff and trying to figure out, how we can help each other out in that way. So my stepdad's a big supporter as well. My whole family is in general. But as far as like understanding what I'm doing in the long run and like what this entails and what it takes to, move forward through this, they're learning just as I'm learning. So it's kind of nice to have people like that, because they're learning a lot of things just in their personal life. And then here I am, I'm more worried about, well, how do I do this in the wrestling match? And, my problem's so small compared to theirs. But
Yeah.
every time I have a question, every time I have a curiosity or I'm intrigued by something and want to learn something, they're all hands on, every last one of them, So without them, I don't know where I would be, to be honest. One of my best friends too, my buddy Gavin. Yeah, I have nothing but the world. I owe that man the world, like when I left my job last year and came back to Illinois, you know, things were a little rough. So I stayed with him for a while, and he has a daughter. So like the mentality that I was in, I needed a refresher, and I needed a more positive outlet and more positive people to interact with and stuff like that. So just being able to have him and spend that time that I did living with him and just being around his daughter, just made you realize, all good things take time, and it's a marathon. So you just might as well have the endurance for as long as you can go. And if you're going to do something, you might as well do it all in. You might as well go all in. And I did a lot of reflecting and just realized, hey, I don't have a spouse. I don't have a child, and all these other things that kind of can typically hold someone down. I realized I was in a position, and without my family and a few of my friends and stuff, like, man, none of this is even happening without them. So they're awesome.
I want to give a holler out to your mom too as well. She does all the syndicate stuff as well, the shirts, the tumblers. Tumbler,
Yeah.
you'll be receiving huge pop.
Thank you.
You'll know
Thank
that.
you, Thank you, Miss McCormick.
Nice shout out.
Shout out. That's a good shout out to AMB's mom. So thank you so much. You said something that made me think. I thought about this a few days ago. It's like I asked the question to myself: why do I keep on doing this? And you sit there and wonder why. And like I said, I do this for self care mainly. But the things that Huge Pop Wrestling has done in 6 months, I'm like, I wouldn't change the world. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
I went all in on doing this. I was like, I'm either going to reach out to people and start talking to people, or because I wasn't very good at talking to people. It's kind of like in a shell, but I said, you know what, I'm going to do it. And I've been blessed with talking to people like Sin, you, Ken Anderson, Alex Kane, Nick Nolan, all those guys, and Johnny Cass. He's sitting here. I got to say his name, so just make him feel better. But no, so I get what you're saying when you're like, you take it all in, and it's like, it's either good, you're going to do it, or you're not.
Yeah.
There's no hesitation. So.
Yeah, and like I had an epiphany type moment, when I was at that other school. One of the first people that had ever bumped me in a wrestling ring was Sky Blue. And so like just watching AEW one day, and I'm like going through this stuff, and I'm watching AEW, and it's like, there she is. Like, dang, what have I kind of been doing with myself? Like, if this is something I want to do, and I swear to God, that next day, I was on it. I'm reaching out to everybody. I'm trying to figure out how I can go back to that school. I'm trying to figure out financial situations, motor vehicles that I can use, or whatever the thing that I needed at the moment. I was trying to figure it out because, it was just like an epiphany type moment, like, it's like, dang, 2.5 years ago, I was just, rubbing shoulders with these people and learning from these guys and these girls. And, the way the wrestling world works, it moves very fast. So, and that's something that I've kind of understood since I've been wrestling is you always want to show respect. Even if you think they're on the card, you think they're a wrestler, you think they're a promoter, whatever, you shake everybody's hand. You shake everybody's hand, and you mingle with them and associate with them and start talking to these people in a good way. And then, you build some sort of repertoire with those guys. And the next thing you know, because you never know, that person that you were just at a show with last week or whatever could be the next big call up. And so, you mentioned Alex Kane. I met him for the very first time, I believe like a month ago at Janesville Wrestling Alliance in Wisconsin. And that was like the first time I had seen someone of that caliber of like a talent, in my wrestling journey in itself. But that whole day, that dude was in a different mindset, and it showed, but he was very respectful, very cordial, with everybody. And he wasn't afraid to, give people advice, even if he felt they didn't want it. He was willing to do it because sometimes you just need people that will do that for you. So it's pretty cool, so far it's been a wild ride.
That's awesome, man. So, how does a wrestler set out to reach out to different promotions? I mean, I know that Sin has worked for other promotions besides PWX.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
have
Yeah.
you have a list of that you have Honor Among Wrestling on tomorrow, Pro Wrestling Extreme on the 9th, Proving Ground Chicago, Gala Lucha. How do you go about reaching out? You just start emailing the heck out of people?
Yeah.
How,
Emailing people. One of the best things that I think kind of helped me is, I've been paying dues, and everybody's paying dues, no matter they're 10, 20 years in, you always pay dues. But I wasn't afraid to go pay dues. If that meant traveling out of state, with the promoter and some of the boys to go to a show just to help set up the ring, I was willing to do that,
awesome,
and I spent basically a whole year doing that from
awesome,
the time I quit my job in July last year all the way up until December 31st. And
awesome.
even still, I still go on road trips where I'm not on shows, but I'm there tearing down the ring, setting up the ring, trying to just interact with some of these wrestlers on the indies and get to know some of these people, because you never know. You know what I mean? Like I was saying earlier, you just never know. And I think that was something that has helped me, guys like Sen, who kind of come from a different generation than mine. They understand that helps you more in the long run than anything. You know what I mean? So like to have a guy like Joey Grunge, even Wildman Beast, Sen, um, Jimmy Smooth. You know what I mean? I've done some travel trips with some of the midget wrestlers, some of those companies. First time I got in front of a crowd was with the midget rosters, and some of the best times of my life,
Yeah. So seeing AMB skying off the top rope took me back to when he was 5, skying off my couch. All of us got stories about flying off people's couch. I mean, mine is I was watching Saturday Night's Main Event with my brother during Sid Vicious and
Yeah.
Hulk Hogan, I think. And Sid Vicious goes, "What does that I smell? I smell a power bomb." So I picked my brother up and threw him through the bed. He he kicked his feet up, hit the light fixture off the ceiling, and I got in trouble. So that's that.
Yeah, I got
But
loads of stories like that. I'll just tell one right now. There was one time I was in about fourth, fifth grade. Was kind of still more on the skateboarding side of things. I would still play with my wrestling guys and stuff like that and watch weekly. But me and my brother, my oldest brother, we used to wrestle all the time. And he wanted to wrestle one day, and he actually T-bone suplexed me through a doghouse.
oh shoot,
Yeah, and off of a wooden fence at that. Like,
man,
yeah, it was some wild stuff. I had been hit in the head when I was 5 with a gutter, got busted open the hard way. We broke plenty of my mom's furniture, so that was my childhood.
yeah.
That was it right there.
James Duncan says you stepped up your game, AMB, reaching out for your staying booked, like we discussed, paying dues, your
Yeah,
lifestyle.
absolutely.
Yep, you embrace it. So
Of course, I embrace it. I smell the
awesome,
roses every time, because it can be taken away at any moment. Or something wrong can happen, and
absolutely.
we're
So
not able to do it anymore. So I smell the roses every chance that I get. A lot of these people that I meet, I'm either meeting them for the first time or I've met them a few times. But it's like, man, I'm so energetic about this and passionate about this that, like, some of these guys, like, I start kind of marking out for them a little bit, just because, like, man, like, here we are, we're doing this, dude. Like, ain't you stoked? And like, they're just kind of like, what are you talking about, kid? But but yeah, so sometimes it's amazing. I just embrace everything. Like,
it's awesome.
always, all the conversations, all the advice, the fan interactions. I
It's
wouldn't
awesome.
change it for the world.
It's awesome, man. All the watchers out there, if you can hit the subscribe button, follow button, so you can get more of Huge Pop Wrestling Podcast, that'd be great. Thank you for the support. Thank you for coming out to see AMB. Um, Now, is there where do I go next? Okay, so you've been to many different promotions. I'm sure some have big crowds, some have small crowds. For you, is it any different performing for a dense or a small crowd compared to a bigger crowd, and how, if it is, how do you get over that?
I think performing for a smaller crowd, for me so far, just because like a lot of the smaller crowds have kids, that I've been to at least, like it's not as like kind of jarring or pull you back like some other people. Like some people have been to some really small shows where there's only maybe 5 people and stuff like that. Fortunately, I've never had that experience yet. So, but I think wrestling in front of smaller crowds, though, anywhere from like 150 to 250, maybe 300, I think that's the like you feel everything, like it's more intimate, and like that's how I am too. Like, if there's any atmosphere or anything that I can do to give a fan like an actual feeling or something, like I think those environments I kind of thrive in a little better. Um, I did a show in front of about 1,500 people in Chicago about a month or two ago, and it was outside. So like there was just little things, like we were outside, so the noise took a minute to come back to you. You couldn't tell if something was working or if it wasn't. Um, yeah, so I think wrestling in front of smaller crowds and having the opportunity to be more intimate to give fans something, like they get the most out of that. So
Right.
now I wouldn't say it's really challenging at all.
Okay. Now, do you guys get the attaboy or okay or the encouragement from the promotions? Like, for instance, let's take Jay Silver, for instance, for PWX. And now you go and you want to reach out to Honor Among Wrestling or Proving Ground Chicago. Do the promoters from the other promotions give you that boost and say, "Hey, that's okay"? Are they encouraging, or are they like, I'd rather you stay here"?
I always ask first, and if they're shy away from the idea at first, it's like, oh, okay, I always I don't shit where I eat, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I had a couple conversations with Jay Silver a little bit, like, hey, do you think maybe I can try and go outside and maybe go to another venue or company and see, is this really working? You know what I mean? Being in front of a different crowd, it's tough when you're in front of the same crowd sometimes. So I like that challenge. And from the very first day that I met Jay Silver, I told him, not really when you feel confident, but when I feel confident. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, it's me doing it, So if I feel confident enough that I can reach out to someone and get an opportunity to go elsewhere and have the chance to represent PWX or even just represent myself and showcase my abilities, I'm not going to shy away from it. So I've been taking any and every opportunity that I can get. So far I've wrestled in Illinois. I bounce back and forth between Illinois, Wisconsin, and Iowa a lot. So I'm usually up here in the Midwest, but I don't shy away from none of it.
You keep AMB out wherever you go?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's actually the initials to my legal name. Okay. So, so far I haven't had any issues. You know what I mean? Yeah. I don't really see why it would be an issue in the long run. But I'm willing for anything because, again, that's part of the challenge and being in professional wrestling too. Right. There's going to be a time where I may show up to a show and this promoter needs me to step into another character or try something new or try something else. I'm not going to shy away from it because at the end of the day, this is what I'm here to do. I'm here to learn and I'm here to get the most out of it and just have fun. So at any point when those 3 marks aren't being checked,
I remember when AMB was invented. Remember there was different spitballing going on between you and Mel?
Yeah, I forgot what the first one was. It was something Adonis. Astonishing Austin Adonis.
Triple A.
No, the Triple A Astonishing Austin Adonis. That was
Thank God, no. Thank God, no.
There were some WWE level bad names in there.
Yeah, it was it was cool to spitball ideas and stuff, and then to actually tap into like, well, okay, if I was going to be this character, what would this character look like? How would he act and stuff like that? So it was cool to try things like and that's my biggest thing is like the moment I feel like I'm not nervous to go out there, and the moment I feel like I'm not getting the most out of it and I'm not learning anymore is when I will leave, even if I have more in the tank physically to give, because it's all about elevating. Every place that you go to, you want to leave it better off than what it was when you first stepped foot, and that mentality is kind of what I have, and I feel like kind of pat myself on the back a little bit, but I take pride in PWX because I'm the homegrown guy. I'm the local, I'm the first trainee, and all this stuff. So like that place holds a special spot in my heart,
Right.
So
And I'm gonna, because you said that, I'm gonna read a little bit about what the promoter Jay Silver says about you. You
Okay.
did say you were the homegrown guy. The first thing he said was he's homegrown. He's trained with PWX. His first match was December 31st, New Year's Eve Bash. It was a lumberjack match. The build-ups were amazing. You helped open at Northport Arena 1 year ago. This month. He's a kid that eats, breathes, and shits wrestling. You have the dream of being a wrestler and then put it all in hard work and to become one, even in his young stages of his career. It's pretty amazing to watch, and it's incredible as he furthers his training. So you do have in a promoter, you have in Jay Silver, you do have a lot of you made your mark. You made your way, AMB is in PWX to stay. And of course, I mean, Sin, he talks about you. Then it says seeing him win the U.S. Championship live in person is one of those great moments you won't forget. And the crowd was super into it, and all the people have watched him grow and live his dream, where cheering and crying and everything. It was truly a great moment.
Yeah, absolutely. It was like something that again, I had a great partner to tell that story with and to pull those things out of me and push me to a whole new level that I thought I wasn't even ready for. You know what I mean? I wanted to throw up like 6 times that night before the show even started. And just because I have I hold a lot of respect to the people that I work with, whether I don't agree with them all the time, or we do agree on a lot of things. Like I respect everybody. That's one thing about me, is I respect everybody.
Right.
And so to make magic like that for real with Nasty Nick Nolan was just like, it took me like probably 4 days to realize what had just happened. So
absolutely. And I just want to make sure you know that PWX roster, PWX promoter, they all talk good stuff about you. Now, because I say that because you made reference in the in your promo that you were not on the show first.
Yeah.
And people are talking trash about you. And now Sid might have talked trash a little bit, but I can't remember exactly what he would have said. But I want to make sure you know that we praise you guys. I love PWX. I love the roster. I've met the guys I've met. It's been amazing. And you're nothing. You're not anything. You're not a disappointment. I see the same thing in you as I do all these PWX wrestlers. So congratulations on what you're doing.
Thank you. I appreciate that so much.
Congratulations on what you're doing too, Sid. You're making history.
There you go.
Making history.
Yeah.
So, one of these days we're going to do something a little bit bigger. You and me will have to get in the ring together.
Hey, I'm open to anything. Yeah.
We've been at a couple parties, I think, but that's about it, right?
yeah.
Well, I already said it. I said it. You're gonna be in trouble this week, I think. I mean, I'm just saying, I see a future tag team title holders up at AMB and his partner. So Casey Jackson would be a good one too, right? To go against you and your friends. But anyways, so some quick short answers. Ready?
All right, let's do it. Rapid fire.
Rapid fire. Woo!
Where'd you get the best advice from? Who gave you the best advice?
Nasty Nick Nolan.
Okay. Who's the nicest guy backstage?
Joey Grunge.
Who are your favorite wrestlers growing up?
Jeff Hardy, Rob Van Dam, Rey Mysterio.
Greatest impact in your life?
My mother.
Awesome. Who's the closest friend in the industry?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I would say Conan Lycan. Like that dude, just like Nasty Nick, gives me great advice every time. But he's so like giving to people, and he's always willing to help someone. So like, and then he's also just a good person to talk to in general. Besides wrestling, he's got a good energy about him. He's a good dude. Got a good head on his shoulders. Has nothing but potential. You know how this guy's not signed right now is beyond me. But yeah, I would say he's probably one of my closest in the wrestling business. Like if I have questions, I go to either him or Nasty Nick Nolan. So
awesome. What's your favorite matchup you've ever been in?
Whew. The United States Championship match, of course, that's like a given. But besides that one, I would say I wrestled an up-and-coming guy here at PWX named JB Mack, the Reverend. We did a singles match. And just to be able to kind of, be behind the scenes and to peel the curtain back, like, I train with this guy, and I see his attitude, his mentality, his work ethic. And then even when he's not in the ring and he's just himself, like, he's a good guy. I have nothing else to say bad about the kid. He's young. He has nothing but potential to skyrocket to the top as long as he pursues this. And I just think that match kind of is pretty cool in my perspective, just because, I had a little helping hand in training him a little bit and work with him on some stuff. And to be able to know that PWX trusts me to go out there with a newer guy, to know that Mac trusted me and stuff, and to know that everybody who is in charge realized that it was going to be something, and I didn't even realize that. But by the end of that match, I was all smiles, just to see him go out there and do his thing, and then to be able to share the ring with him. Yeah, JB Mack, the Reverend, he definitely pulled something out of me and made me have fun in the ring rather than having to worry about, okay, this is what's going on, I need to counter this and do that. He just made it so relaxing for me, and it felt like just another training day,
Awesome. And that's one thing I do like on this. For me, I like to have fun, and we call it stirring the pot. And
yeah.
It's fun because Sin is and he really are. Sin is really easy to work with, and I don't even call it work. I just have fun on Sundays, and it's just fun. So back to the questions. Favorite wrestling promotion?
WWE.
Favorite male wrestler?
Male wrestler? Stone Cold Steve Austin. I was named after him, so.
All right. Female.
There you go.
Female wrestler.
Female wrestler. Toni Storm.
Okay.
That's a good one.
Theme song.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Theme song.
My favorite theme song?
Entrance music.
I think the Ooh Chavo was really cool. I loved, Los Guerreros and stuff. So that was the time period I grew up. So I think that was probably, I hear that all the time, and I'm still, shaking hips and jockeying shoulders. I love that.
Nice. All right. This is a TikTok question. I don't know if you watch TikTok much or not, but here's the TikTok question. Who is the greatest WCW heavyweight champion ever of all time?
I kind of came into it a little late, and then even with having the network, I haven't gone too far back in WCW. But honestly, the original WCW world champion, man, that's tough. There's been a lot of good ones,
You're not gonna like my answer.
Again, I came in kind of late, so I would have to say Benoit. When Benoit won the world title, that was awesome. I've always loved Chris Benoit. So
mine's not gonna be that smart. It's the joke of TikTok is the greatest WCW champion ever is David Arquette.
Oh my
God.
Jesus!
I'm just gonna say Ric Flair.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, for sure.
Ric Flair, Ricky Steamboat, those guys.
I got a reaction that I wanted, so that probably be put on TikTok here before tomorrow. So
Okay.
AMB and Mac would make a great tag team and would win against the Syndicate.
Oh, look at that. Look at that. I think
Everyone's
that's a
stirring
little
the pot right
biased. I
now.
think that's a little bit biased.
Yeah, just a little bit, you know. I agree with you on that one. That's biased right there. Bring it down a little bit there. Yeah.
Like I said, we'll have our day. We'll have our day in the ring together.
Oh, for sure. You know, I mean, since I'm representing the Illinois Valley, eventually I'm gonna have to come after you for that. You know, you can't have that too long. You know, just so you know.
I hope to hold on to it as long as I want to.
Hey, but I will give you credit though. First PWX double champion in the company. Sin. So.
He stopped stirring the pot and started smoking at David Arquette. Wow.
That's got to go on the TikTok.
That's got to
be on the TikTok.
So
that's awesome.
That's awesome, man. So PWX is this Sunday.
Yeah.
It is Pro Wrestling Extreme in Street, Illinois. We have several big matches. It's a celebration. And you are going up against Casey Jacks. If you have to say anything, I mean, I'm going to give you as much time as you want. We're nearing the end of the show. What would you have to say to Casey Jacks about this coming Sunday?
Well, first thing first is Casey Jacks. I don't appreciate that you tried to take my knee out from underneath my body. You know, I get it. You know, taking advantage of things sometimes, but June 10th, when we were at Screaming Eagles Motorcycle Club, you didn't hesitate, and I had never been put on the shelf, so to speak, and had to take time away or to rehabilitate something to that extent. And I tweaked my knee up a little bit. And I think from there on, you know, I think my gear started churning a little bit because I lost something that I hold dearly to me, is that PWX United States Championship. And I got to give you credit. You're a threat, and you are a problem, a real legitimate problem to some people. But no one's going to represent PWX better than myself, or represent the Illinois Valley area better than myself, because I am the Illinois Valley. No offense, son.
I'm the Illinois Valley champion. I would dispute that. We'll have to come back to that later down the road.
Well, what Huge Pop can orchestrate that. So I love what you said to Casey Jacks, right? I think he needs to be threatened. I think he needs to be scared. I think he needs to be on top of his game, because you are a threat.
Yeah, exactly.
And you said it, Illinois Valley. So I don't know, Sid, if that was a challenge towards Sin, but I'm going to play it out as a challenge towards Sin. Sid, how do you feel? I mean, you got a lot going on on Sunday.
Well, here's the bottom line. There's a lot of contenders getting in line. Everybody wants to be the best in the Illinois Valley.
Yep.
And I'll say this about Austin. I'd be disappointed if he didn't feel like he was the best in the Illinois Valley, knowing him. I think you have to believe you're the best to reach your maximum potential. And I'm the champion right now. I think that's proof that I'm the best. But if it ever comes down the line where Austin's taking a shot at him, I'm not going to take him lightly. That would be crazy. I know he's a fierce competitor.
And that's what Casey Jacks has been doing. He's been taking me lightly leading up to Sunday. He came on the podcast and was just having a grand old time, as if he didn't have nothing to worry about. And I think that right there was probably his biggest mistake. And that's really all I have to say is, you know, he underestimated me and it kind of put a chip on my shoulder. And I know it's not going to be an easy match. It's not going to be, you know, the most prettiest at times. It's going to be a fight. And I understand that. And I've been trying to change the mentality going into this match. They're going to have to carry me out of that ring, because I will not leave without hearing that 3 count and me holding that title back up high again.
So Well, Gina says, good luck on your wrestling show tomorrow. I have honor among us, AMB, and you'll always have my support.
Thank you, Gina. I appreciate
So,
you a lot.
Well, no, I appreciate you coming on, AMB. I wish you good luck on Sunday. I wish you good luck tomorrow. Is there any titles involved tomorrow?
Not tomorrow. No.
Okay.
Only title match that I have coming up is Sunday. For the whole month, that'll be the only title match that I have. But to be fair, it's the most important to me right now. So
on Monday morning, we'll have a new PWX champion. Then is what you're saying?
Oh, for sure, without a doubt.
Right. So if you're about to play prediction mode, will we have a new tag team champions come Sunday night?
I would say no. I would say the veteranness and Sin and everybody involved in the syndicate, they're smart up here. And they understand that everybody else involved in their match is going to be so amped up and so anxious to try to get their hands on the next person that they're going to be very calculated and they're going to choose their spots wisely. And I hate to say it, but I believe the syndicate will walk away still the PWX United States Tag Team Champions.
Well, there's a little bit of to talk about PWX on Sunday. There's a little bit of a, would you say, something on the line for one of the syndicate for the Sin's partner, Axel Hale, right?
Yep. I'm familiar with Axel.
That Axel Hale gets a free shot at the Illinois Valley Championship if Sin gets pinned on Sunday. So with that little scenario going on, I'm kind of curious of Sin will have to have Viper and have to have all his tricks up his sleeve because in the back of Sin's mind, he's got to be wondering what is Axel going to do to cause us this match for Sin to get pinned so he can have that shot. Just the same shot you want at the Illinois Valley Championship, he wants that same one.
Why would he give up a belt to gain a belt?
Maybe the Illinois Valley maybe the singles championship is so more important, just like it is for you. So more important to
keep
wear.
Saying it's more important, but I carry both titles.
But okay, we're not gonna. This is not your show. It's
you're the one that started it.
But anyways, I just was curious what you thought with that scenario. Is if you're Sin, would you be concerned? You know Axel Hale. You know what he's capable of.
Yeah.
Is there a concern that what would that play out?
I don't think so.
Are you going to help these guys? Are you going to jump on board with this syndicate? Do you pretty much stay back to yourself?
I like to stay back to myself. I don't see myself getting involved in the match, but I will be watching very closely. Because I didn't know about that stipulation. So now that makes this very, very interesting. So now I'm going to be watching to see if you take that pinfall. So
I haven't been pinned in quite some time now in PWX, so I don't expect to get pinned on Sunday.
But yeah, that's got to be curiosity for you, right? Because you made it clear that you're gunning for that Illinois Valley Championship.
Yeah, definitely.
That's a goal of yours. You got to have goals like that. It's good to have those goals. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I see the syndicate still walking away. Okay. As much as we can sit here and hypothetically come up with stuff, I just think they're starting to become more well gelled as a unit. And even there is that dissension there between Axel and Sin. Sin's got plenty of tricks up his sleeve. As you see, he brought Viper in the mix. Right, who's to say he doesn't have the next 4 or 5 people lined up? So
right. So I got a thought in my head before we close the show that is about you.
All right.
I don't know if Jay Silver's watching this still. Because if the syndicate gets disqualified, if that's the way they win, if he gets disqualified, I think you ought to jump ahead of Jay Silver or ahead of Axel Hale, and you ought to get that shot at that Illinois Valley title if you win your match against Casey Jacks.
It's a TLC match, the tag team matches, so we can't get DQ.
Well, something has to happen. Darn it! There goes that. I couldn't stir that pot up. That sucks.
Yeah, he kind of beat you to the punch right there. Yeah, that match is. I didn't know the stipulation was that. So that'd be interesting. I'm definitely gonna keep a close eye on that one for sure.
So if it happens, AMB will need to get past Axel to get the title. Oh shit! People are already saying that you're gonna get pinned. That's what that sounds like.
Oh, yeah. Let them see what they will, as long as they show up to see it, and then see me win.
You win. You got a partner here. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So, anyways, huge Pop Wrestling fans, it's been a great night. It's been great talking to you, AMB, Austin. I hope to have you back on this show. Maybe we can orchestrate a show with 4 or 5 of the PWX superstars and get them in a round table and just stir the pot amongst you all and see what it's, because you guys, I'll be honest with you, Pro Wrestling Extreme has been one of my favorite times in this whole podcasting. Get to know you guys, the indie wrestling. Because I didn't know what indie wrestling was like until I went to a show here down in Florida. It's called Extreme Impact Wrestling, and you guys go through shit that I'm like, what? You guys take shots. You guys take chair shots. It's not this love taps. It's what I'm saying. So mad props to you and Sin as indie wrestlers putting your bodies through that. Mad props about your schedule. You booked solid 2 shows a weekend. That's incredible. Lots of road time, I'm sure. Exhaustion. I get it, and I am mad props to you for doing that. Thank you for taking your time.
Thank you so much, man. I appreciate that.
Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to. You got a match tomorrow night. You ought to be getting some rest and eating that food. So.
Yeah, definitely gonna start focusing up once this is over and just starting to tap into that mentality and get ready for tomorrow night. So.
I will say good luck tomorrow night. Good luck on Sunday, Sin. Good luck on Sunday as well. Bring home the golds, guys. I will. I'm not gonna say don't bring home the golds. Good luck.
Maybe we could do the round table again and all of us have titles on us.
Oh yeah, hey, that would be awesome. That'd be awesome.
Scott and Sin, it's color commentary ringside at PWX. I love that, man.
That would be fantastic.
Dude, if I lived closer to Streeter, Illinois, I would be doing that weekly. So I'm just saying, thank you, Pro Wrestling Extreme. Thank you, Jay Silver, for that. That means a lot to me.
Yeah.
But anyways, here we are. Have to get going. So I appreciate you guys. So would you say this to your opponent, Casey Jax? You're going to win because of this.
I'm better than you, and you know it.
Probably not as arrogantly.
Not as arrogantly. So anyways, Casey Jax, you better watch out. This is going to be a good
Just a little
time.
more respect in it, so he understands it's coming from a good place.
Awesome. So thank you guys. Stay tuned. Meet me in the lobby. Don't go anywhere. I'm going to end the show, okay?
Alrighty.
All my dogs, make some noise up in this house.